Jake, a young New York businessman, is on the verge of a major event that could make or break his company. Desperate to impress investors and keep his family off his back, he makes a bold move, hiring Lily, a charming actress, to pretend to be his girlfriend, the most important gala of the year. But what starts as a simple act quickly turns into something much deeper and more complicated. As they fake smiles and share real moments, Jake finds himself drawn to Lily's authenticity, while she begins to question her own dreams and insecurities. With real feelings bubbling up, they both have to face a hard truth. How far are they willing to go to protect what they really want? And when hearts get mixed up in the lie, is there any way to find the truth? Sitting at my desk in the heart of Manhattan, I felt the weight of the world pressing down on my shoulders. The dim light of my office flickered slightly as the clock ticked away, each second echoing the ever-growing pressure I felt to impress the investors at the upcoming gala. The walls were plastered with financial reports and projections, but the only thing I could focus on was the gnawing anxiety that twisted in my gut. It was as if every graph and spreadsheet was mocking me, reminding me of the stakes. "This is it, Jake. You need to make this work," I muttered to myself, running a hand through my hair in frustration. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the ceiling, searching for an answer that eluded me. Suddenly, an idea struck me like a bolt of lightning. "A fake girlfriend," I whispered, half to myself and half to the empty room. It was a desperate thought, but desperate times called for desperate measures. I needed someone who could play the part perfectly, someone who could charm the investors and make me look like the perfect catch. Who would agree to such a ridiculous plan? And how could anyone convincingly fake a relationship in such a high-pressure environment? As the hours dragged on, I found myself pacing the room, contemplating the logistics of my harebrained scheme. Just then, my phone buzzed, pulling me out of my spiral of worry. A notification from a local theater caught my eye: auditions for a new play. Before I could second-guess myself, I grabbed my jacket and headed out the door. The theater was buzzing with energy when I arrived, a stark contrast to the sterile environment of my office. I took a deep breath, trying to absorb the creativity that filled the air. As I settled into a seat, I scanned the room, noticing the actors preparing for their auditions. That's when she walked in. Lily. She had an undeniable presence that instantly drew my attention. Her confidence radiated like a spotlight as she moved across the stage, and when she began her monologue, I was captivated. "Who is she?" I murmured to myself, unable to tear my eyes away. She was completely at ease, her emotions raw and genuine. It was a stark contrast to the calculated world I inhabited, and for the first time in what felt like ages, I smiled. After her audition, I approached her, heart racing. "Hi, I'm Jake. I know this might sound strange, but I'm looking for someone to play the role of my girlfriend for a gala event. You were incredible up there. Would you be interested?" She raised an eyebrow, playful smirk dancing on her lips. "Fake girlfriend? Really? What's in it for me?" I chuckled nervously, realizing how absurd my request sounded. "Well, you get to attend a high-profile event and I can pay you for your time. Plus, I promise to make it entertaining." Lily crossed her arms, her gaze piercing. "And why should I help you impress a bunch of investors?" I took a deep breath, feeling strangely vulnerable. "Because I need this. I'm under immense pressure to succeed, and I can't do it alone. You'd be doing me a favor, one I'd be grateful for." She studied me for a moment, her expression softening. "All right, I'll do it, but only if you promise not to be a complete bore at the gala." "Deal," I replied, grinning from ear to ear. As we started discussing the details, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was more than just a transaction. There was something about her spontaneity that began to chip away at my meticulously crafted facade. I felt alive. In the days leading up to the gala, I found myself looking forward to our rehearsals. I would give her instructions on how to behave, but the more I tried to mold her into my idea of the perfect girlfriend, the more she surprised me with her authenticity. "Jake, I'm not a prop. I can't just be the perfect girlfriend you want me to be," she said one afternoon, laughter in her eyes. "You need to loosen up a bit." "Maybe you're right," I admitted, feeling the tension in my chest ease slightly. "But it's hard for me. I've spent so long trying to fit into a mold that everyone expects of me." Then let's break the mold together, she suggested, her voice light but sincere. In that moment, I realized that this wasn't just a charade for the gala. There was something deeper brewing between us, a connection that felt both exhilarating and terrifying. As we prepared for the event, I couldn't shake the thought that maybe, just maybe, this fake relationship would lead to something real. As lights of the gala illuminated the grand ballroom, casting a golden hue over the elegantly dressed crowd, I stood there, a cocktail in hand, feeling like an imposter in my own life. Next to me, Lily shone like a star, her laughter ringing through the air like music. I had never seen anyone pull off a stunning red dress quite like that, and I couldn't help but feel a swell of admiration. Her eyes sparkled with mischief, and I found myself captivated. "Just remember," I said, trying to inject a sense of seriousness into the moment. "You have to play the role perfectly. Smile, charm, and let's make sure they see us as the perfect couple." "Relax, Jake. I'm an actress. You might want to take notes," she teased, a playful smirk on her lips. I chuckled, but the tension in my stomach tightened. With every click of the camera, I could feel the weight of expectations pressing down on me. I glanced around the room, spotting investors mingling, their faces a mixture of curiosity and skepticism. I needed this to work. I needed them to see me as a success. And having Lily by my side felt like the golden ticket. As we posed for a series of photographs, I felt the facade we were building starting to crack. The warmth of her hand in mine felt genuine, and I was surprised by how easy it was to laugh with her. She turned towards me, her lips curving into a genuine smile as the flashbulbs went off. It was intoxicating. "This isn't so bad, is it?" she asked, her voice soft yet filled with an energy that was hard to ignore. "Not with you here," I admitted, feeling a flush creep up my neck. I couldn't believe I was saying that. "I mean, you really know how to light up a room." "Flattery will get you everywhere, Mr. Businessman," she winked, and I could feel my heart race. As the night progressed, we found ourselves in a quieter corner of the ballroom. The noise of the crowd faded into the background, and I could hear the soft hum of a string quartet playing in the distance. It was there, amidst the chaos, that I felt the tension between us shift. "Can I ask you something?" she began, her gaze turning serious. "Of course," I replied, curious about what was brewing behind those expressive eyes. "What's the deal with all this? I mean, I know we're here to impress, but what's really going on with you?" I hesitated, caught off guard by her directness. No one had ever asked me that before, not in this context. "I guess I'm just under a lot of pressure. My family expects a lot from me, and I can't afford to fail. Pressure can do terrible things to people," said soft. "It's like a weight that just keeps piling on until you can't breathe." "Exactly," I sighed, feeling the weight of those words resonate deeply. "Sometimes I think I've lost sight of what I actually want. Have you ever thought about pursuing something that makes you happy instead of just what others expect?" she asked, her voice filled with sincerity. I looked at her, really looked at her, and for a moment, everything else faded away. "I don't even know what that would look like anymore," I confessed, feeling vulnerable. Lily smiled, a hint of understanding in her eyes. "Maybe you should start exploring. You'd be surprised at what you might find." I wanted to tell her that she was already a part of that exploration, but the words caught in my throat. Instead, I found myself leaning closer, wanting to bridge the gap between us. "You make it sound so easy." "Nothing worth having ever is easy," she replied, her gaze steady and unwavering. "But it's worth it, trust me." As we stood there, the world around us faded, and I could feel something shift inside me. The authenticity of her words resonated, pushing me to confront my own fears and dreams, ones I had buried beneath layers of expectation and ambition. The night was far from over, but in that moment I felt a spark of hope, a glimmer of possibility that maybe, just maybe, I could find a way to reclaim my own path. As I strolled through Central Park with Lily, the world around us faded into a blur. The vibrant greens of the trees and the soft rustling of leaves seemed to echo the laughter we shared. It was a beautiful day, the kind that makes you believe in possibilities. I couldn't help but steal glances at her, captivated by how effortlessly she lit up the surroundings. Her laughter was infectious, a melody that made everything feel lighter, including the weight on my shoulders. "Can you believe it?" Just a few days ago, I was a complete stranger to you, she said, her eyes sparkling with mischief. And now look at us, wandering through one of the most iconic parks in the world. It's like a scene from a movie. Yeah, it feels surreal, I admitted, trying to suppress the flutter of emotions rising in my chest. I never imagined I'd be here, sharing this moment with someone like you. You've brought so much life into my world. She tilted her head slightly, her expression shifting to something more serious. What do you mean by that? I'm just an actress playing a role, remember? No, it's more than that, I replied earnestly. You're not just playing a part. You've shown me a side of myself I didn't know existed. I've been so caught up in numbers and expectations that I forgot how to enjoy life. Lily smiled softly, her gaze piercing through my carefully constructed facade. Jake, we all wear masks sometimes, but in this city, it's easy to lose sight of who we really are beneath them. What do you want? Her question hit me like a jolt. What did I want? The answer had always been buried beneath layers of ambition and fear. I want to be, I don't know, happy? I want to feel something real. Then stop hiding behind your mask, she urged, her voice gentle yet firm. Let yourself feel. It's okay to be vulnerable, you know? As we continued our walk, I felt a shift within me. With every step, I was peeling back layers of self-imposed armor. I found myself sharing more than I intended. My family. There's always this pressure to succeed. It's like I'm constantly trying to prove myself to them and to everyone else. But sometimes, I wonder if it's worth it. Lily listened intently, nodding as I spoke. It must be exhausting to carry that weight. But what if you defined success on your own terms? What if it's not just about the money or the accolades? I don't even know what that would look like, I confessed, feeling a sting of vulnerability. I've been so focused on impressing others that I forgot to ask myself what I truly want. Maybe it starts with small steps, she suggested, her voice lightening the mood. What do you enjoy? What makes your heart race? I chuckled nervously. Honestly, I used to love painting. It was my escape, but I haven't touched a brush in years. Then let's change that, she said, her enthusiasm infectious. How about we paint together? You can show me your world beyond the boardroom. Paint with you? I laughed, the idea sounding absurd yet thrilling. I can't remember the last time I did something so free. Exactly. That's the point, replied, her eyes gleaming. Let's create something that's just for us. No expectations, no performances, just pure expression. As we walked, I felt a sense of connection growing between us, something deeper than I had anticipated. The laughter, the vulnerability, it was all so real. But then in the back of my mind, a nagging thought surfaced. Was this connection built on authenticity, or was it just a result of our initial deception? Suddenly, a wave of unease washed over me. Lily, I said cautiously, what if this is all just a game? What if I'm falling for someone who's just pretending? She paused, her expression shifting to one of concern. Jake, you're not just falling for a character. I'm here, right now, with you. Whatever started this, what we have now, the real. I wanted to believe her. The fear lingered. Would our feelings endure once the pretense faded away? The uncertainty gnawed at me, shadow lurking just out of sight, waiting to disrupt the fragile happiness we were building. I stood at the edge of my office, staring at the city skyline outside. The lights of New York twinkled under the darkening sky, but inside me, a storm brewed. I had just come from a gala that should have been a triumph, yet I felt like I was losing control of something I had only just begun to grasp. The moment Lily walked into my life, everything shifted. She was a whirlwind of authenticity and vibrancy, a stark contrast to the carefully curated image I had built around myself. But now, as I paced the floor, I could feel the weight of my emotions pressing down on me. Jake, you okay? My assistant Rachel poked her head through the door. She had a knack for sensing when I was spiraling. The furrow in her brow deepened as she noticed the tension on my face. Yeah, just thinking, I replied, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach my eyes. About Lily? She asked, her voice a mix of curiosity and concern. Is it that obvious? I sighed, running a hand through my hair. I don't know, Rachel. Everything felt so perfect at the gala, and now, it's like I'm losing myself in this ruse. It's not a ruse if you're feeling something real, Jake, he said gently. Maybe you should talk to her. Talk to her. The thought sent a jolt of anxiety through me. What if I opened up and she didn't feel the same way? What if it all came crashing down? I took a deep breath, trying to quell the rising tide of fear. Later that evening, I found myself pacing my apartment, the silence amplifying my inner turmoil. I had to confront this. Every time I thought of calling her, doubt crept in like a thief in the night. Just as I picked up my phone, it rang, and my heart leapt at the sight of her name on the screen. "Lily," I answered, trying to keep my voice steady. "Hey Jake, I was just thinking about you," she said, her voice brightening my dimly lit apartment. "Really?" I asked, feeling a warmth spread through me. I've been thinking about you too." There was a pause on the other end, and I could almost picture her biting her lip, unsure of what to say next. "I miss our talks, you know, the ones outside of the pretense?" I clenched my fists, feeling the weight of her words. "I miss them too. I feel like I'm losing touch with who I really am when I'm not with you." "Then why don't we meet? Just us, no gala, no cameras, just real," she suggested, her voice soft yet firm. "Okay," I replied, a little too eagerly. "How about tomorrow afternoon?" "Perfect. Central Park?" "See you there," I said, hanging up the phone, my heart racing. The next day, as I walked through Central Park, I felt a mix of excitement and dread. The trees rustled gently in the breeze, but my mind was a cacophony of thoughts. What did I want from this conversation? I just knew that I couldn't keep pretending that everything was fine. When I saw her sitting on a bench, her hair catching the sunlight, my breath caught in my throat. She looked beautiful and unguarded, and for a moment I forgot everything else. I approached her, and as our eyes met, I felt a connection that transcended the charade we had been living. "Hey," I said, sitting down beside her. "Hey," she replied, her smile warm but a hint of uncertainty shadowed her eyes. "I'm glad we could do this." "Me too," I said, taking a deep breath. "Lily, I need to be honest. I've been feeling confused since the gala. Everything seems so perfect, yet I'm terrified that what we have is just a facade." She looked at me, her expression serious. "Jake, I felt that too. It's hard to distinguish between what we've built and what's real." "I don't want to lose you," I confessed, the words spilling out before I could stop them. "I feel like I'm falling for you, and it scares me because I don't know if it's real or just part of the act." Her gaze softened, and for a moment, I saw vulnerability reflected in her eyes. "I feel the same way. But does it matter if it started as a lie? What matters is how we feel now." I nodded, my heart racing. "Then let's stop pretending. Let's figure this out together. No more games." She smiled, a mixture of relief and hope lighting up her face. "I'd like that." As we sat there talking about our hopes and fears, I realized that maybe, just maybe, we could build something real together, even if it started from a place of deception. I sat quietly in the corner of the cafe, nursing a lukewarm coffee that had long since lost its charm. The hum of conversation surrounded me, but my focus was elsewhere, on her. Lily was sitting across the room, her laughter ringing like music, bright and carefree. She was with him, her ex-boyfriend. I could see the way he leaned in, the way she smiled at him, genuine and warm. My heart sank, a heavy weight settling in my chest. I clenched my jaw, trying to keep my emotions in check. How could I feel so possessive over someone I had once considered a mere actress playing a part in my life? But as I watched her, the lines blurred. She had become so much more than that. "Why do you look so glum?" A voice interrupted my thoughts. I turned to see Mark, my business partner, looking at me with a raised eyebrow. "Just thinking," I replied, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach my eyes. "About the gala? It went off without a hitch, man. You should be celebrating," he said, but I couldn't shake the feeling that my success felt hollow without Lily by my side. "Yeah, about that." I trailed off, my gaze drifting back to her. The way she tossed her hair back as she laughed made my heart race. "I think I messed things up." "Seriously? You and the actress? What's the issue? I mean, isn't that what you wanted?" Mark asked, clearly confused. "It was supposed to be just a gig, you know? But now," I admitted, my voice barely above a whisper, "I can't stop thinking about her." Mark chuckled, shaking his head. "Dude, it sounds like you've fallen for her. You should talk to her. Clear the air." "Easier said than done," I replied, bitterness creeping into my tone. "What if she's moved on? What if she's happier without me?" Matt patted my shoulder. "You won't know unless you try." "Go on, man. Just go talk to her. I hesitated, my heart pounding as I watched Lily lean closer to her ex, her eyes sparkling with something that made my stomach churn. I felt like a fool for letting jealousy seep in, but I couldn't help it. Fine, I said, standing up abruptly. I'll do it. I made my way to their table, every step feeling like a battle against my own insecurities. As I approached, I overheard her ex say something that made my heart drop. We had some good times, he said, tone nostalgic. Yeah, we did, she replied, her voice softening. But I think I've moved on. The words hit me like a punch in the gut, and I swallowed hard, forcing myself to step forward. Lily, called out, my voice breaking the moment. Her head turned, and those bright eyes met mine, filled with surprise. Jake, she said, a hint of confusion in her voice. And we talk? I asked, trying to keep my expression steady. Sure, she replied, glancing back at her ex briefly before standing up. I'll be right back, she said to him, following me to a quieter corner of the cafe. What's up? She asked, her brow furrowed slightly. I took a deep breath, struggling to find the right words. I've been thinking a lot. About us, about everything. I stumbled, unsure how to express the tangled mess of feelings inside me. I didn't mean to pull away. You mean more to me than I expected. Her eyes widened, and for a moment I thought I saw a flicker of hope. Jake, wait, I interrupted, my heart racing. I saw you with him. I'm sorry if I came here to ruin something. I just didn't want to lose you without at least trying to be honest. You deserve that. Lily's expression softened. I was surprised to see you. I thought you were okay with everything. I thought so too, I admitted, my voice shaky, but seeing you with him made me realize how much I care about you. I can't pretend that what we had was just a game anymore. Her gaze dropped to the floor, and I could see the conflict swirling within her. Jake, I don't know if this is real or just a reaction to what we had. Maybe it's both, I said, stepping closer, my heart pounding against my ribcage. But I want to find out what this is. I want to be with you, for real this time. Tears glistened in her eyes as she searched my face, and for a moment, the world around us faded. I want that too, but I'm scared, she whispered. Me too, I admitted, my voice trembling. But I think we can figure it out together. Just don't give up on me yet. I won't, she promised, the warmth in her voice igniting a flicker of hope within me. As we stood there, everything felt raw and authentic, a stark contrast to the facade we had built. The uncertainty loomed, but in that moment, I knew I had to fight for her, no matter the cost. The weight of the world seemed to rest squarely on my shoulders as I sat at my desk, staring blankly at the spreadsheets and graphs that filled my computer screen. Each figure blurred together, the numbers danced mockingly in front of my eyes. I could feel the pressure intensifying, the upcoming event looming like a dark cloud over my head. The fate of my company hung in the balance, and yet my thoughts were consumed by Lily. Jake, you need to focus, I muttered to myself, rubbing my temples in a futile attempt to dispel the tension. I glanced at the clock, hands ticking away the seconds with relentless precision. I needed to get my act together, but the truth was, I was terrified. Terrified of failing, of disappointing the investors, and, more importantly, of disappointing my family. They had high expectations, and I felt like I was constantly falling short. I pulled out my phone, hesitating before dialing her number. After a few rings, I was met with voicemail. Hey, it's Jake. Just wanted to check in. Hope you're doing well. Call me back when you can. I ended the call, frustration boiling inside me. Each unanswered call felt like a reminder of the distance that had grown between us. Later that evening, I found myself pacing the floor of my apartment, restless and agitated. The gala was only a few days away, and I felt unprepared. I had initially believed that hiring an actress to play my girlfriend would be a simple solution, a way to impress everyone and deflect the pressure, but now felt more complicated than I had anticipated. I decided to take a walk to clear my mind. Chilly air hit my face as I stepped outside, and I made my way to Central Park, my usual refuge. The city was alive with energy, but it felt like I was in a bubble, isolated from the world around me. As I walked, I mentally rehearsed my presentation for the gala, but all I could think about was Lily's laughter, her infectious spirit that had brought a spark to my otherwise monotonous life. Suddenly, I spotted her in the distance, sitting on a bench with her notebook, scribbling away. My heart raced. I hadn't seen her in days, and the sight of her ignited a flame of longing within me. I approached cautiously, not wanting to disrupt her creative flow. "Lily?" I called softly, my voice barely above a whisper. She looked up, her eyes widening with surprise, and a smile broke across her face. "Jake, I didn't expect to see you here," she said, her voice warm and inviting. "I needed to clear my head. Mind if I join you?" I asked, taking a seat beside her. "Of course not." "I was just writing," she replied, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "It's a new idea I'm working on." "What's it about?" I asked, genuinely curious. "It's about two people who meet under unusual circumstances and end up changing each other's lives," she explained, her enthusiasm infectious. "I think it might be a little autobiographical." I chuckled, feeling a mix of admiration and envy at her creativity. "Sounds intriguing. You know, I've been feeling a bit lost lately." "Lost? You, the successful businessman?" teased, tilting her head playfully. "Yeah, even successful businessmen have their moments," I admitted, looking away. "There's just so much pressure. My family expects me to succeed." "Jake," she interjected, her tone shifting to something softer, more understanding. "You don't have to carry that weight alone. You're more than just your job or your family's expectations." Her words pierced through the fog of my thoughts, and for the first time in a long while, I felt seen. "I just don't know if I'm making the right choices anymore. It feels like everything is at stake, and I'm scared of losing it all," I confessed, my voice barely above a whisper. "Maybe what you need is to redefine what success means to you," she suggested, her gaze steady and unwavering. "You've got to pursue what makes you happy, not just what looks good on paper." As I listened to her, I began to realize how much I had been neglecting my own desires in pursuit of a version of success that was never truly mine. I looked at her, really looked, and felt a shift inside me. I couldn't ignore it anymore. The connection we shared, the feelings that were bubbling beneath the surface. "I think I've been doing it all wrong," I murmured, a revelation dawning on me. "I need to figure out what I really want. And maybe it's not just about the business." "Exactly," she said, her smile wide and encouraging. "You deserve to chase what sets your soul on fire." In that moment, I realized that I was not just in a complicated situation. I was at a crossroads. And whether I wanted to admit it or not, Lily had become an integral part of my journey, one that I didn't want to navigate alone anymore. I approached Lily cautiously, my heart pounding in my chest, as if it were trying to escape the turmoil within me. Park was unusually quiet, the sound of the city a distant hum, but all I could hear was the rush of my own thoughts. She sat on a bench, her pen gliding effortlessly across the page, completely lost in her world. The sunlight kissed her hair, making it shine like gold, and I couldn't help but be captivated by her beauty, even in this moment of uncertainty. "Lily," I called softly, unsure of how she would react. As she looked up, her eyes widened slightly, a mix of surprise and something else. I couldn't quite place it. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for what I was about to say. "Can we talk, Jake?" Her voice was tentative, as if she was still processing my presence. "Is everything okay?" "Not really," I admitted, taking a seat beside her. The bench felt like a fragile bridge between us, and I feared stepping too hard might break it. "I've been thinking a lot." She put her pen down, giving me her full attention, and I felt the weight of her gaze. "About what?" "About us," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "About everything that's happened since we met." I looked down at my hands, feeling the heat rise to my cheeks. I never intended for this to go this far, you know? It was supposed to be a simple arrangement, a way to get through the gala. "I know," she nodded, her expression softening. "But it became something more, didn't it?" "Yes," I replied, looking her in the eyes. "It did, and I'm scared, Lily. Scared of what this is, scared of losing you." My confession hung in the air, heavy with unspoken fears. She drew in a deep breath, her gaze unwavering. "You think I'm not scared too?" Her voice was firm yet gentle, perfect balance that made my heart ache. "I didn't plan on developing feelings for you either. This entire situation is so complicated." I rubbed the back of my neck, trying to find the right words. I've never felt this way about anyone before. And I'm terrified that it's all been built on a lie. What if what we have isn't real? "Jake?" she said softly, leaning in closer. Just because we started with a fake relationship doesn't mean what we feel now isn't real. Feelings aren't just erased because of how they began. You know that, right? Her words struck a chord within me, and I could feel the tension in my chest begin to ease. I just don't want to hurt you. I don't want my insecurities to push you away. I get that, she replied, her voice steady, but you need to let me in. This wall you've built around yourself, it's not just hurting you, it's hurting us. I want to understand you, Jake. I swallowed hard, feeling the weight of her honesty. I don't know how to do that. I've spent so long being the perfect businessman, and now I'm not sure how to be the perfect, whatever this is between us. Just be yourself, she urged, her eyes sparkling with encouragement. Open up to me, show me the real you. I hesitated, but the sincerity in her voice urged me to take a leap. Okay, I said finally. I'm scared of failing, of not living up to my family's expectations. They always wanted me to be the successful entrepreneur, but I felt so empty chasing those dreams. Then you came along, and for the first time, I felt alive. Then let's figure this out together, she said, her voice a soothing balm to my frayed nerves. You don't have to do this alone. In that moment, a connection formed between us, one that felt more genuine than anything I had ever experienced. I saw in her eyes a reflection of my own fears, hopes, and desires, and it was both terrifying and exhilarating. Promise me something, I said, my heart racing. Promise me that we'll be honest with each other, no matter how hard it gets. Lily smiled, and the warmth of it wrapped around me like a protective shield. I promise, Jake, no more pretending, just the truth, whatever it may be. As we sat there, enveloped in the silence of the park, I realized that I was ready to embrace the messiness of this love. No more facades, no more hiding. As two people, raw and vulnerable, willing to face whatever came next. Together, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the small park where we often met, I felt a surge of anticipation. I had invited Lily to work on her screenplay, a project that seemed to bring us closer with every word she wrote. Took a deep breath, trying to calm the fluttering in my chest. It was more than just writing. It felt like we were crafting something much bigger, something that intertwined our lives. Hey you, I called out, spotting her sitting on a bench, her notebook resting on her lap, pencil poised between her fingers. She looked up, her eyes sparkling with a mix of excitement and nervousness. Jake, you came! Her smile was infectious, and I couldn't help but return it as I approached her, feeling the weight of the day lift off my shoulders the moment I saw her. I was worried you'd forget. Forget? Never, I said, plopping down beside her. I've been looking forward to this all week. So, what are we working on today? She flipped open her notebook, revealing pages filled with handwritten notes and sketches. I've been thinking about the main character. She's kind of a reflection of my own insecurities, you know? I want her to be strong, but also vulnerable. I leaned closer, my curiosity peaked. Tell me more. What's her story? Lily's eyes lit up as she began to explain. She's an aspiring actress, much like me, but she struggles with self-doubt and the pressure of her family's expectations. I want to capture that feeling of being torn between dreams and reality. It's like, how do you stay true to yourself when everyone around you has different expectations? I nodded, feeling a connection to her words. That's powerful. It's a struggle I know all too well. My family always had this vision of success for me, money, status, but I've been questioning whether that's really what I want. Lily turned to me, gaze piercing. What do you want then, Jake? Her question hung in the air, heavy and challenging. Honestly, I want to create something meaningful. I want to feel alive in what I do, and I hesitated, the words caught in my throat. I want to feel something real. I think you've already found it, she said softly, her eyes searching mine. With this project, with us. The weight of her words settled over me like a warm blanket. I felt a rush of emotion. You mean that? I'm just scared it's all going to fall apart. This whole thing, us, it started as a lie. Lily reached out, placing her hand over mine. But what if that lie brought us something real? The truth is, I care about you. I never expected to feel this way. Here we are. I squeezed her hand, the connection between us shifting from a fragile thread to something stronger. I care about you too, Lily, more than I thought possible. Maybe we can turn this into something beautiful. She grinned, her enthusiasm infectious. Let's do it. Let's write a story that reflects both our journeys. I want to show the world that love can come from the most unexpected places. Absolutely, I replied, excitement bubbling within me. Let's write about the struggles, the fears, and the triumphs. Let's make it real. As we began to brainstorm, ideas flowed like a river, and I found myself lost in the creative process. We bounced ideas off each other, our laughter mingling with the sounds of the park. In those moments, I realized that this wasn't just about writing a screenplay. It was about sharing our souls, our vulnerabilities, and our dreams. Jake, what if we have the character face a major decision at the end? Lily suggested, her eyes bright with inspiration. Like, should she chase her dreams or stay in a safe, comfortable place? That's perfect, I replied, my mind racing ahead. It's what we're both facing, isn't it? The fear of taking risks. Exactly, she exclaimed, her excitement palpable. And I want her to choose love, even if it means stepping into the unknown. I watched her, captivated by her passion. You're incredible, you know that? Lily blushed, her cheeks a rosy hue. I'm just trying to be honest. This story is our story, Jake. And in that moment, I felt the weight of the world lift from my shoulders. We were no longer just two people caught in a web of lies. We were collaborators, dreamers, and most importantly, partners. The screenplay we were creating was a mirror of our lives, a testament to the unexpected beauty that can blossom from the ashes of uncertainty. I realized then that whatever the future held, I wanted Lily by my side, crafting not just stories, but a life filled with authenticity and love. I stood at the edge of the set, the soft hum of the cameras and the chatter of the crew filling the air around me. The backdrop was a beautiful representation of a bustling New York street, and it felt surreal to be part of something that was slowly becoming more than just a project. It was our project, Lily's and mine. I watched her as she adjusted the lighting, her brow furrowing in concentration, and I couldn't help but smile. She was brilliant, and the way she threw herself into her work was inspiring. As we wrapped for the day, Lily approached me, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Jake, I think we really captured something special today, she exclaimed, her face lighting up like the city skyline at night. There was something about her enthusiasm that made my heart race. I agree, I replied, feeling a warmth spread through my chest. But can we talk about something for a minute? Something important? I hesitated, the weight of what I wanted to say looming over me like a shadow. The atmosphere shifted, and I could see the curiosity in her eyes. Sure, what's on your mind? She asked, her tone shifting to one of concern. I took a deep breath, my heart pounding as I wrestled with my thoughts. It's about your dreams. I've been thinking a lot about what we're doing here, and I want you to know how much I believe in you, Lily. You have this incredible talent, and I think you should chase it, even if it means going somewhere far away. Her smile faltered, and she stepped back slightly, confusion washing over her face. What are you saying, Jake? You want me to leave? After everything we've built together? No, I quickly replied, my voice rising a little higher than I intended. I'm saying I care about you, and I want you to follow your passions. You're an amazing writer, and I don't want to hold you back. We both know this short film is just a stepping stone for you. I ran a hand through my hair, nerves getting the better of me. I don't want to be the reason you don't pursue your dreams. Lily's brow furrowed, and she crossed her arms, taking a moment to process my words. Jake, you're not holding me back. I want to be here with you. I want to make this film with you, and I want to share my journey with you. Her voice was steady, but I could hear the emotion behind it. I know that, I said, my throat tightening. But what if this leads you to something bigger, something that could take you away from here, away from me? I looked into her eyes, searching for understanding. You deserve that opportunity. Do you really think I can make it? She asked, her voice softer now. I mean, with everything I've faced, what if I fail? I stepped closer, wanting to bridge the distance between us. Lily, you already are making it. Just look at what we've created together. You're talented and passionate. You can't let fear dictate your path. What you have is so special, and it would be a crime not to share it with the world. Tear glistened in her eye as she bit her lip, clearly moved by my words. You really believe that? Absolutely, I replied, my heart racing. And I want you to know that no matter what happens, I'll always support you. I may not know what the future holds, but I do know that I don't want to lose you. I want to be part of your journey, wherever it takes us. Lily took a deep breath, gaze unwavering. You're right. I've been so focused on the fear of failure that I forgot how much I love creating. I want to embrace that, Jake, with you by my side. Relief flooded through me, and I felt a smile spread across my face. Then let's do this together. No matter what it means, your dreams are just as important as mine. She stepped closer, her expression softening. Thank you for believing in me, Jake. It means the world. As she reached out to take my hand, I felt a sense of unity between us, as if we were two pieces of a puzzle finally fitting together. We were ready to face whatever came next, together. As I stood in front of the audience, my heart raced with a mixture of excitement and anxiety. The dimly lit room was filled with investors, their faces a blend of curiosity and skepticism. I could feel the weight of their expectations pressing down on me. This presentation wasn't just about my company. It was about my journey, my transformation, and the incredible woman who had changed everything. Good afternoon, everyone, I began, my voice steady despite the fluttering in my chest. Today, I want to share a story that goes beyond numbers and projection, about passion, authenticity, and the transformative power of love. The murmurs in the audience quieted as I continued. A few months ago, I was lost in a world of spreadsheets and profit margins, driven solely by the pressure to succeed. But then, I met Lily. Paused, allowing the name to linger in the air. The memory of her laughter, her vibrant spirit, enveloped me like a warm embrace. Lily is not just an actress. She's a dreamer, a storyteller. When I hired her to pretend to be my girlfriend for a gala, I thought I was simply playing a part. Little did I know that she would help me find my true self. As I spoke, I glanced at Lily, sitting in the front row, her eyes sparkling with warmth and encouragement. It was as if she was the anchor I never knew I needed. Together, we created a short film that captured our journey, the struggles, the insecurities, and ultimately, the love that blossomed between us. It was through this project that I learned the importance of being genuine, of embracing vulnerability. The audience seemed captivated, leaning forward in their seats. I felt a surge of confidence. This film is not just a product. It represents a shift in my perspective. I realized that success isn't measured solely by financial gain, but by the impact we have on others and the connections we form. I stand before you today, not just as an entrepreneur, but as a man transformed by love. I took a deep breath, preparing for the moment I had been dreading, yet yearning for. And so, I want to make an unprecedented proposal. Lily, would you join me on this journey, not just as a partner in our projects, but as my partner in life? The room fell silent. I could hear my heartbeat echoing in my ears as I stepped down from the podium and walked towards her. The weight of my words hung in the air, and for a moment, I feared I had miscalculated. But then, I saw a flicker of surprise in her eyes, followed by a soft smile that ignited something deep within me. Jake, she whispered, her voice trembling slightly. Are you serious? More than ever, I replied, my voice steady now. You've shown me what it means to live fully and authentically. I don't want to face the future without you by my side. Lily stood, her face glowing with emotion. I've always believed in us, but I never expected this. You've changed my life too, Jake. Your support, your belief in my dreams, it means everything. As she spoke, the tension in the room shifted. The investors who had been watching intently began to exchange glances, their expressions softening. I could sense the energy in the room changing, transforming from skepticism into something hopeful and exhilarating. Then let's do it, she said, tears glistening in her eyes. Let's create together. I pulled her into a tight embrace, feeling the warmth of her body against mine. The applause erupted around us, filling the space with a sound that felt like a celebration of everything we had overcome. As we stepped back, I looked into her eyes, and the world around us faded. In that moment, it was just the two of us, the culmination of our journey, promise for the future, and an unbreakable bond forged in honesty and love. As the applause continued, I turned to face the audience, my heart swelling with pride and joy. Thank you, I said, my voice carrying the weight of our shared dreams. Together, we will create a future that blends art and business, passion and purpose. This is just the beginning. The room erupted in cheers, and in that moment, I knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, we would face them together, hand in hand, partners in both life and art. An unlikely friendship between a millionaire and a homeless vet, shaken by a secret buried for years. Richard never thought his past would come back to haunt him, and Tom's about to uncover the truth. Want to see how it all goes down? Don't wait. Click on the video popping up on your screen right now.